So following in the trend of people sharing about their retreat experience, I thought I'd start off today talking about how inspired I was the whole time by the people who participated as retreatants from afar. And I think we had roughly 130 people who did it, people out there, and about 145 inmates. And so this number is staggering. And what we've been doing for several years is we invite people to send in their photographs. And then I have the great privilege of printing out the photographs, and I get help putting them up on the wall. And so everyone who has sent in a photograph gets their picture up on the wall. You're on a page with 5 other people. And so this year we had so many photographs. I think if we had first of all decided to put the photographs in the meditation hall, we would have been hauling them back over to the dining room, which is where they started off. And I think from here on we'll be posting the pictures in the dining room because there's no room in the meditation hall. There's so many photographs, which is great. So I asked people early on to send in the country that they're living in. And so the people who participated, if you don't hear your country, it means you didn't respond to my request. So you can write in and we'll add this. So the countries this year that we have so far of people participating are Uruguay, Russia, United States, Scotland, England, Ireland, Italy, Canada, Germany, South Africa, Mexico, Singapore, Sweden, Australia, India. How's that? And then all of the inmates are from the United States. So, of course, I was just so impressed with everyone, but I have to admit I was particularly drawn to the photos of the inmates. And so on a particular day where I was looking at my own stuff and taking a deep look at what I've taken refuge in earlier in my life, which got to be very heavy, I must say, and sobering, and I'd get a little bit disturbed at how I've wasted so much time in this lifetime, all I would have to do between sessions or at lunchtime is go and take a look at the inmate photos and think about their situation and how difficult, how astounding it is that these people have even met the Dharma. I mean, it's astounding for all of us when you think of it. But to be in prison and meet the Dharma and decide that you want to participate in a retreat from afar just absolutely blows my mind. And the other thing that was so touching is I'd look at these photographs and I'd think, that could be my brother. That could be me. If I had grown up in their situation, why not? Why wouldn't I end up in prison? I mean, just circumstances come together. We all have these seeds, these latencies in our mental continuum. And I can think of a number of times where I could have easily gotten into big trouble. And all of the causes and conditions did not come together. They just weren't there. In the case of these people, the causes and conditions came together. So one fellow, in fact, this actually made me cry the day I read it. I hope I don't do it again. But this came on the back of his photograph, so I photocopied it and I pasted it with the inmate pictures. And this is what he wrote on the back of his photograph. To the faithful and loyal residents at Sravasti Abbey, I offer my heart, oh great, here it comes. I offer my heartfelt prayers and wishes and wish the best that the Buddha has to offer to Sravasti Abbey and Thupten Jigme, who is coordinating the prison outreach here. Thank you for bringing, I think I need some Kleenex now. Thank you for bringing this realization of the Dharma into my life. That has forever changed me and the person I've become. So this is someone getting contact, with the Dharma in a prison setting. Thank you. That's just one person who happened to put his message on the back of an envelope. Many people have written in. I only picked 2, so don't be offended if your heartfelt message isn't read today. Come to the Abbey and talk to me. So this one was sent this year from someone in the United States, and this came about 2 weeks before the retreat ended. I'm so glad for the opportunity to participate in the Retreat from Afar this year. Working with the Easy Path meditations on Lam Rim are a joy. As a way to repay your kindness, I want to just share this picture with you. The pictures at Deer Park in Madison are also, the teachers at Deer Park in Madison are also on a winter break. However, their students have been busy making satsas with Geshe Sopa's relics. It's been a wonderful learning experience, and I'm rejoicing in the merit that we created. Thank you, Venerable Children, for making your precious teachings so easy and accessible via the web and YouTube. Through them, I'm able to stay connected to the Abbey and never without a refuge when I need one. Here's another one. This person lives in Canada. Last year, I participated in the Retreat From Afar for the very first time. The opportunity seemed perfect in that I had surgery in January and was housebound during my recovery through April. That was the impetus. But what I discovered was that participating in the retreat, and in particular knowing that so many others were also engaged in the practice around the globe, really enhanced my sense of spiritual community in ways I had not imagined. Since then, I've continued with the purification practice and meditation. It's become a norm and an integral part of my day. Thus, it is with immense gratitude and enthusiasm that I write to say that I look forward to participating in the 3-month retreat again this year. With appreciation and immense respect, I thank you all for the ongoing teachings and encouragement in my practice. So that's certainly what I felt here. I mean, I certainly wasn't feeling lonely here. There was enough people around. But when I looked at all of these photographs, there was a lot of photographs to look at. I felt so connected. I really felt this integrated, global community participating in this practice. And that alone took me out of my wimpy, suffering mind when it happened. So I'm going to call Venerable Jigme up because she really knows the inside out of the program for inmates. For you and I, it's very simply, we click on a mouse, kaboom, the teachings are there, right? We buy a plane ticket, we get to the Abbey, we come to a retreat. There's no one in our way, usually, unless it's your boss, in us getting access to the teachings. And yet, how is it that inmates, I'm ready for you now. How is it that inmates get connected? So Venerable Jigme.
Well, first of all, to have the stories of the inmates, how they want to send a picture. Sometimes they'll send a picture and they apologize because it's 15 or 20 years old, their picture. Because to get a picture in prison is really difficult. They have to pay money. The chaplain usually takes them. It's in a weird place in the prison where they have some kind of funny backdrop, like they're standing in the forest or, one of those kinds of things. Sometimes they'll have a family member send once in a while. Sometimes I'll get pictures that are about this big and look like they're from like a yearbook or something, Many times I'll get an apology. They're so sorry that they can't send one, but they'll try and send one for next year. The way that they get involved in the Retreat From Afar is mostly word of mouth. I've had inmates write about a teaching that was sent to another inmate 5 or 6 or 8 years ago, that is so dog-eared and so worn that they can't hardly read it anymore, and they ask for a new copy. So they don't throw anything away. I've had inmates talk about how they read these teachings over and over again. Each week we send a teaching that is connected to whatever practice that we're doing for that retreat, and they all year long they read them over and over and over and over and over again, and it's quite humbling. I think if we had a similar depth of practice, we might be further along this path than we are, I will say. And this is in an environment. One fellow talked about how he does his practice. He's in a dorm room, over 200 inmates. They have bunk beds. He's on the top bunk. He sits on his bed, rolls his pillow so he can sit a little bit in the proper way. The room is filled with music, with fighting, with screaming, with talking. he sits and meditates with a bare light that's right above his head, you know, shining in his face. And that's how he meditates. He gets criticized and made fun of because of what he's doing. You know, they don't understand it. And yet every day he does the same thing. So it's astounding the depth of their practice in prison. Yeah. And something that we can all aspire to deepen our own practice just by hearing what they do.
So with that, I think we can really take a close look at how our mind is operating when we think it's hard, and to really think of people who are practicing in prison, and this is their lifeline. Really, it's their lifeline. And they're transforming their minds in an amazing way. Just as a final comment, the first person to sign up for the Retreat from Afar for 2016 signed up August 28th last year. She was so excited to start it. So that person got the ball rolling. So now that you've heard about it, if you haven't done the Retreat from Afar yet, you can write to office.sravasti@gmail.com and be the first one to sign up this year. And then please do send in your photo. Everyone who's here on retreat looks at your photos every day, and we really get inspired by the people who are doing this all over the planet. So let's continue to practice for the benefit of all beings.